It was November 22nd, 1963, and I was just another face in the crowd, watching history unfold before me. Or so I thought. I had always admired President John F. Kennedy. There was something about the way he carried himself, his speeches filled with hope, his vision for a brighter future. Today, though, it felt different. The air was thick, the streets were more crowded than usual. I could feel a strange pull deep within me. My heart raced, and a gnawing unease settled into my gut. I had been in Dallas on business. The motorcade was scheduled to pass by, and I figured why not see the president for myself. So here I was, standing among a sea of people, waiting for the spectacle to unfold. But something about this day, this moment, felt wrong. I couldn't explain it. I knew something terrible was about to happen. The cars came into view, and the crowd erupted in cheers. The limousines passed by, the cameras flashing, the noise deafening. And there he was, President Kennedy, waving to the crowd, charming smile. But there was something in his eyes, something hidden beneath the surface. A quiet, almost imperceptible flicker of fear. He knew something was wrong. I started to push my way through the crowd, unable to shake the feeling that something terrible was about to happen. I had to stop it. I didn't know how, but I had to try. It wasn't just fear anymore. It was instinct. Something inside me was telling me that if I didn't act, if I didn't do something, this day would become a memory of death. I was moving, shoving through the crowd, my mind racing. Something compelled me to go forward, to do something. The gunshot rang out before I even had a chance to understand what was happening. The sound split the air, sharp and deadly. It was a deafening crack that made my body freeze, my ears ringing with the violence of it. The motorcade swerved, and I watched as the president's head jerked violently back. The moment was slow, too slow. I was frozen in place, unable to move, my body locked in the horror of the moment. I had failed, but that's when it happened. Time didn't stop. It didn't bend. It ripped. The world around me twisted and shattered like a pane of glass. I stumbled, disoriented, as the scene around me flickered and changed. The crowd, the cars, the sound, it all disappeared. The streets were empty, desolate. The air was thick with something I couldn't name, and I was standing in the middle of a vast, dark void. I looked around, my breath coming in shallow gasps. I wasn't on the street anymore. I was in an empty, oppressive space, a vast expanse that stretched on forever. Then I saw him, the figure in the distance standing just beyond the horizon. It was me. It was me. Standing in a suit, in the same clothes I had worn earlier in the day, the same tie. But my face, it was wrong. There was a weariness to it, an exhaustion in my eyes that shouldn't have been there. It wasn't the reflection of the person I had been moments ago. My heart skipped a beat, panic rising in my chest. I took a step toward the figure. The world, the timeline, it all seemed to collapse in on me. "Who are you?" I called out to the figure, my voice shaking. The figure didn't respond, motionless, watching me with eyes that seemed far too familiar. "You can't stop this," the voice came, but it wasn't from the figure. It was from everywhere, whispering, echoing through the void. I staggered backward. I didn't understand. How could I be me? What was happening? How was I here? Why was I here? Then a sudden clarity hit me, like a lightning bolt striking the core of my being. The truth I had been blind to for so long. I was JFK. It hit me like a freight train, the moment I had been too afraid to acknowledge, the realization that I was standing in my own mind, watching myself, as I had been murdered. I was witnessing someone else's tragedy, someone else's fate. But now I understood. I was the one who had been shot. I was the one who had died that day. The body I had seen in the motorcade, the blood, the agony, it was mine. The gunshot I had heard, the image of my own head snapping back, that was me. I was standing in the aftermath of my own death, trapped in the final moment of my life. I collapsed to my knees, shaking uncontrollably, unable to breathe. There was no escape, no way to undo the inevitable. The figure that had been me, no, it was me, stepped forward, and I felt the weight of time closing in on me, a crushing pressure against my chest. I tried to speak, tried to scream, but the words wouldn't come. I was forced to witness my own death over and over. The figure stopped in front of me. "It was never meant to be stopped," it whispered. "You were always meant to die here, to fall." I stared at myself, the coldness settling in. The death, the shot, there was no way to change it. The day had already happened. It was over. Because I was always meant to be the one who died, and as I sank further into the void, the darkness swallowed me whole. I understood. I was the past, the future, the tragedy. The president who had been struck down in the prime of his life. I had thought I was a witness, but in truth, I was the victim. The one whose fate had already been sealed, and the worst part was I would never leave this place, because in the end I wasn't just witnessing the assassination. I had become it.